I'm Michelle Graves, your host on today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm glad to have you here. Now, at The Power of Money, we are interested in three things happening. First, we want you to get the necessary education so that you and your family can make the decisions that will impact positively on you in your financial life. The second thing is that you be empowered to prosper. I only want the best for you. And you can only get that if you have education and then the drive to make it happen. And the third thing that is so important to me is that you recognize that life is more than a journey and that you be energized so that you can begin to participate in the truly joyous experience of living. So, here's to empowerment, here's to education, and here's to energy. I'm Michelle Graves, your host, Power of Money. And here we go. And here we go. It's so good to be here with you today on The Power of Money with Michelle Graves. And for those of you that have been my faithful viewers over the years, started doing this show in 1982. Oh, I'm telling my age, but it's okay. Okay, I'm good with it. Today is no exception, always trying to bring you the best so that you can be empowered to deal with your own circumstances and situations. Today is no exception. We've got a phenomenal guest today, Kathleen McCreary. She is a specialist in identity theft. Yeah. And it's that time of the year. I'm not kidding you. It's that time of the year. And so credentially, she is a certified identity theft risk management specialist. She's been doing this since 2003. Now, viewers, let me tell you something. It happened to me a long time ago, but it happened to me, and I'm going to tell you, the world was a different place back then, but it was traumatizing, absolutely traumatizing, and no one knew how to deal with something like that. Needless to say, I remain incredibly paranoid about everything as it relates to who I am and what I can do to make sure that I'm safe. The invasion of your space by people that assume your identity is the most horrible thing that can happen to you, and it's happening to people all over. So rather than me trying to figure it out, I just brought in the best, and that's Kathleen McCreary, and she will be talking to us about identity theft. I'll be asking questions, but I think you want to hear from her. And if you think you might be at risk, you want to give her a call, okay? She can help you and begin to take the necessary steps. So without further ado, here we go. How are you, madam?
Great. Thank you, Michelle. I'm glad to be here to share some information with you.
I'm glad that you're here, and certainly with our listeners. Where do we want to begin with this issue of identity theft, and where did it come from, and why are we dealing with this now?
Well, it's been going on for hundreds of years. But with technology, it's just becoming more prevalent, common. First started out during early in American history, we focused on voter registration and stuffing ballot boxes. Okay, that was the first thing. Okay,
identity theft from stuffing ballot boxes
back in the early ages of the American history. And from there, in the 1930s, things changed when they had the 21st Amendment and the prohibition was stopped, because now people could drink. And the states had all set their own laws so that the people could go from one state to another. You probably heard of grandparents or whatever, they went across the border to drink because it was less.
Yeah.
Well, then after that, we had the minimum age was set at 21. Okay, now they had to have some identification. Because what are these people going to do? Now I got to borrow somebody else's identification, become them, so I can get
alcohol.
a drink. Right, so things just kept changing. In many cases, they had fake IDs started there. The practice of using someone else's identity really then increased with the influx of the immigrants. And the different laws changed. From the beginning, they were coming over and there was different policies in different communities so that they could come over to work in the service areas or in farming during harvest time. And they kind of stayed there, became a part of the community, and were working with the community, so they kind of just forgot the laws and let them stay. And then the immigration laws started being passed, and then with the influx in '65, they had other issues and people were using other people's information. But what really made it take over was when they had the laws that were passed in 1986. Because at that point in time, now the companies were required to get government documentation, social security numbers or driver's license, that they were legally in the United States. So when that happened, the whole ball changed. Now they had to have federal documentation that they were in the United States. And they wanted to live here and support their families. So that's when they started trying to get other people's information. And then other people thought, well, I could be a lucrative business. I can steal and sell this information to them.
They could sell it.
Right, and make money off of it, because these people were desperate and trying to work in our country.
Yes.
So it kind of started back with stuffing the ballots, and then as the laws progressed, people were finding ways to work in our country or be a part of our civilization in our country, and so we're using other people's identification at that point in time. So it's from there we're looking at technology, how it changed, and what was being increased. Everybody wants a me now society and wants it right away. So as technology gained, all this information was putting in the databases. But there really weren't a lot of laws controlling all these databases and encryption. And as you know, the thieves are getting better.
What is encryption?
Encryption is taking a word or whatever and putting it to a electronic, digitized, format that you can't read.
Okay.
That has to go through a process to determine what does that really say. So that if you and I got an encrypted message, we couldn't read it or see what it says.
Okay.
Okay, and there's different levels of encryption.
Okay.
And so the lower levels, people are getting better and better at getting them. Military encryption, which is like a 256-bit, is one of the most secure encryptions, because we have our forces over in lands that are not nice to be in. And so they want to get messages to them, so they have to have an encryption so that other people aren't intercepting those messages and finding out where they are or what our plans are. So those are highly encrypted messages, and there's very few other places that use highly encrypted messages. So
why? Because of the expense?
Expense and the knowledge and the know-how. They kind of, it's like the government. These are like the secret things. They don't want everybody else to know. Because if they know, then they can find a way to decrypt them and get that information. And it's a lot more cost expensive to do that. So for last year, or this coming year, we've had lots of breaches, hundreds and hundreds of breaches. And people
from where?
Everywhere, from every industry. For this year, the highest industry was business at 43% and medical at 39%. But remember back a few years, you had the Anthem breach, which is a lot of people have it, the medical. We've had the, more recently, the Marriott breach.
Yeah, that was a shock, because I'm a Marriott.
500 million.
I'm a rewards user. I literally found myself getting paranoid again. I'm like, no. Right.
And like the Yahoo.
That's a higher end clientele with that Marriott.
Right. Then you go back to others, which is any clientele, is the Yahoo. Everybody across the board has Yahoo email addresses. And what are they getting? And so as we look at these thieves are compiling profiles of us because the computers can actually, go through billions of databases every second of every day. So they find your name in it, okay, and then they start building it. Then they find you in another database, and they add that information, and pretty soon they know more about you than you really know about you.
I believe it.
Which is
so
a
why
huge
do they
problem.
want the information?
Money.
No, Kathleen, why do they want, someone will pay them to provide a profile about an individual?
Right, just think about the different people. Maybe you're a person that got a lot of DUIs and you've lost
Yeah.
your driver's license, but you want a driver's license. So
Okay.
you're gonna buy one and they're gonna sell it to you. You're the approximate same age and profile of that person. They put their picture on that driver's license.
Oh my
has
goodness.
your information.
Oh my goodness.
But you know what? What if they go out and get another DUI?
Then you're stuck.
Right, so they, they go to court and they release on their own recognizance to their court date. Are they gonna come back? Nope, it's not them, it's you. Maybe
So now the warrant gets issued because they don't show up for court.
right, 12 or 18 months later, maybe you're pulled over for a minor violation, they run your driver's license, and they
Oh,
say,
no.
guess what? You got a warrant for your arrest for DUI out of Texas. I've never been to Texas. Is this your name? Yes. Is
Yes.
this your social security number?
Yes.
Click, click, watch your head. Guess where you're going?
Oh, guess where you're going? That is absolutely horrible. How often does that happen?
That is one of the most highly high crimes out there right now, is the driver's license.
So with the state of Ohio, they do like a hologram. Apparently, or supposedly, to protect you from that, meaning a person cannot use a fake driver's license because it doesn't have a hologram on it.
Right, that might protect you in Ohio, but if I'm
But-
a good thief, I'm not going to do something in the same state that you live.
Oh my
I'm
God.
going to go to another state, and a lot of the states have a lot less secure, and they have very good means of replicating the different driver's license in different states.
Oh my goodness,
So all
because
of a
these
sudden
are
you-
thieves.
Right,
Okay.
and all the DMVs, they don't cross-check each other.
Okay.
So
They
you go down
do
to
not,
No.
Kathleen?
They're working on it, but they haven't. So they go to the DMV in Texas, and they get their driver's license from Texas, and they trade in your driver's license for the Texas
For
driver's
the
license.
Texas driver's license.
Right, or they just come and get their own, they take the test and get it under
Yeah.
your name. So there's several different ways that they can
Hoo-wee.
handle that. Medical identity theft was 39% so far this year of the breaches that's being held.
So now that's when a person is able to get your information from a hospital?
It could be from a doctor or an insurance company. They're going to want to get your identification numbers for your policies. And it could
Oh,
be,
wow.
so that they can have procedures done in your name. They'll change the address so the bills go to them. Or they, just get, maybe they might even have insurance. But maybe they have HIV or something they don't want attached to theirs. So
okay.
they're going to use yours so it doesn't affect them, because if they wanted to buy life insurance, I've
Yes.
had people that they went to apply for life insurance and were rejected because they had HIV, though I don't have HIV. Now you can go through the test and prove it,
Yeah.
but in the meantime you have all this craziness going
Well, at the point
on.
you made application, and viewers, please listen closely on this. The insurance company's going to run an MIB, a medical information, on you. Now, if a person has absconded with your identity and they have HIV, that's going to be on your medical information.
Right.
And unlike banks, where if there's a dispute on the credit, you can challenge and have it removed, it's virtually impossible to have information on your medical records available to you and not even considering removing it.
Right, and with the MIB, what even makes it more complicated is the HIPAA laws were really enacted before all this medical identity theft. So now, once you report it to the MIB, they won't even want you to have access to your records because you're infringing on the rights of the thief, which is totally ludicrous. So the HIPAA laws are actually protecting the thief.
Let's roll this back. What did you just say?
That once you report it to the MIB,
Okay.
that your information was stolen and you have a thief that's on your records, They'll even want to access your records because you're infringing on the rights of the thief, because the HIPAA law is protecting their medical information.
Even though it's stolen.
It doesn't, the way the laws were written, it doesn't matter how it was obtained, but that it's there and it's not accessible to other parties.
Oh, that's Kathleen.
Yeah.
Really, are we in the twilight zone yet?
Well, I think we are.
Is Rod Sterling in the background saying, what? So what happens?
It's a lot of legal ramifications and going to court, and it's complicated to get
Just because of something someone did to you.
right.
The burden of proof is on who? You, the person that's the victim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you know, in regular law, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
But in identity theft, you're guilty until proven
proven
innocent. So it's just done 100% flip for identity
So
theft.
how do you, what steps do you take so that this never happens to begin with?
Yeah. We can't stop identity theft, but we can catch it very early, and we can take steps to make it more complicated for them to do. But, stopping person from doing something, there's no way to know. There's all these people out here, they're doing whatever it is. There's no way to stop them, but there's ways that we can find it immediately and take advantage of it. Just like, people think when you talk about identity theft, most of the time people say, well, I don't have very much, it won't happen. They're thinking of their credit cards and their banks. You're actually protected by a lot of federal laws on those. You don't need identity theft protection because the FACTA law says if you have a credit card, if you report it within 60 days of the first billing cycle, they're required by law to take it back off. Now, it's a pain in the butt, and you have to get a new credit card, and you have to go through some steps, but eventually it's going to be. Now, with a bank on an account or a debit card, the FTA says that you have 2 business days to report it, and they can charge you $50. After that, if you report it between then and 60 days, they can charge you $500. After that, you're pretty much out the whole amount plus any overdraft fees. So the banking laws are a lot more strict. I tell people if they have a debit card that also has a insignia for MasterCard or Visa on it, always, if you're using it out, always use it as a credit card because then it falls under those credit card laws.
Oh,
if you
now
use it
I
as a
didn't
debit
know
card,
that.
it falls under the banking laws.
Which is the 2-day
2
notification.
days, right. And they can charge you $50.
And the $50.
Right.
For something that you did not do.
Right.
So instead of using the card, like to get gasoline, which is what I do, you should run it as a credit.
Right.
Okay.
But even more than that, if you're using just to be more protective, if you need to use it that way. But even use a regular credit card or buy a fuel card or something like some of the companies have and put a certain amount on it, or use a credit card that you put a certain amount on if you're going to be out and using it about where other people could be getting that information. So you kind of have to be really careful about what you're doing and what information that you're putting out there for the society to take advantage of.
So the way it is right now, Kathleen, if you type in your address, Google will find you.
Right.
I mean, that is amazing. Just off of an address, it'll pull up everything about you that it knows. Google knows everything. But is that, how do you protect yourself?
You just have to be aware. There are services out there that can help protect you, but you have to be on the alert and don't click on everything that comes to you. Don't respond to everything that comes to you. But there are services. There's really 3 types of identity theft services.
Okay.
One is a reimbursement, which is usually seen on maybe your homeowner's insurance. Now that doesn't monitor anything. It doesn't help you with anything. but if you go out and you start restoring your own identity and you keep track of your expenses
Yeah.
and you turn them in, then it goes to an adjuster and then they decide if those charges are legitimate and will reimburse you.
Okay.
But now you always have to be careful when you're using like homeowners insurance, because then the companies look at that as a claim.
And so then your rates can potentially go up.
Or drop, or you
can be dropped.
if you use it too many times. And once you have one identity theft problem, you're likely to have many, many more than
Well, I'm
somebody
going to tell
else.
you, this goes back to my experience in the late 80s, and that's before it was nearly as sophisticated as it is today. But it put me in a place where I could see what was coming down the pike for people, which is we don't think we have a lot, but you're not on the other side of the fence.
Right.
And for someone who wants your identity, what you don't have is an opportunity for them to get what you could have.
Right.
I mean, that thing is something.
And then the other type, you have a resolution programs out
Okay.
there. Resolution means you call in and you'll be talking to usually to a customer service type person, and they'll give you hints on what to do and what not to do.
Okay.
Maybe even direct you to a book you can get for free from the FTC.gov,
Okay.
which is identity theft, what to do, what it is and what to do.
So that's
which is
FTC.gov on the subject of identity theft.
And
Okay.
there's free publications out there.
Okay.
Once you read that, you'll think, oh my gosh, I need somebody else to do this, because of the certifications, all the recordings, everything that you have, the steps you have to go through are multiple and very, very time consuming. So it's not an easy thing to do. People think of the financial, what we talked about before, but it's your own credit card or your own bank
Right,
accounts. But
right.
the banks and the credit card companies have their own fraud departments, and they're really assisting you, and it might be problematic in that you have to get a new card and
Yeah.
things are held up for a while, but you can take care of it. But when it gets to the other areas,
Wow.
then it gets much more complicated, and that you really do need some type of assistance. So with the resolution, they're going to give you just help as far as consultation on what to do and the next step, and you call them in, well, this is the next step you need to do, whatever.
Okay.
Then there's true restoration, and some companies say they have restoration, but they don't really have full restoration.
What does that mean?
Restoration means they're going to completely restore your identity back to pre-theft status.
Okay.
Okay, one question to ask, and it'll tell the whole story, is if my identity is stolen and I call you and it's identity theft, do I have to sign a limited power of attorney?
What does that mean?
That means that you're giving them authority to work on your behalf to restore your identity.
Okay.
If you do not sign that limited power of attorney, they cannot do complete restoration because they cannot work on your behalf.
Right.
So a lot of them say that they do restoration when you ask them that question, and then you start questioning, well, we really can't do that, but they'll do some cursory things that they can do on restoration. But that's the best question to ask to find out, are they really doing that for me? Other questions you need to ask these companies, how long have you been in business? If I call in, who am I talking to? Am I talking to a customer service? Am I talking to a systems person? Am I talking to a licensed investigator? Who am I talking to? You also just give me consultation if I want to know how to protect my kids, or I'm traveling, or I'm getting all this scam or whatever, spam on my email or phone. What can I do? So there's different aspects of it. You need to really question them, because the things that you hear on the paper, on advertisements, a lot of those people, they're being paid to say what the company wants them to say.
Right, which is unfortunate, but that's very much a part of the American way.
Right.
Which is be careful. Read the fine print.
Find the fine print.
Snap and it's gone.
Right.
And see what works for you. What are some of the things that if you want to use a third party, what are some of the things that you need to be aware of?
I said before, who are you talking to? Who are you dealing with? What are you monitoring? It's not, if it's just monitoring your financials, your credit repositories, that's something that's really not that helpful.
Okay.
You can pull your credit report and you can keep a track if you want to be consistent with it and keep on top of that. But, are they looking at your driver's license number? Are they looking at your medical ID numbers? Are they looking at social media? Are they looking at court records?
Oh, wow.
Are they looking at payday loans, all these different things that are going on out there. You know, how many websites are they looking at the dark web? What are they doing? How are they alerting you? Do they have an app to alert you? Because, you know, if you have the alert and it's like, okay, they call me or whatever, but I'm not at home, how do I access the information you want? If I need to call you right away, I have an identity theft, I need to talk to somebody right away, and it's like, oh crap, where's my number?
Right.
You know, do they have an app so you can just tap that app and get to them right away and see reports? A lot of them do a lot of ancillary things along with it to help members, such as credit scores, or even going beyond that to looking at sex offenders, and you can put in and they'll show who are living around your area.
Oh, really?
So that you can kind of see what's around your area. And you think how it's kind of related to identity theft. So maybe you're having packages dropped off at your home. Okay, some of these characters are less likely to be truthful or forthright and will come or need money, so they will come and do that. In fact, in November, the United States Postal Service, the database that they use for tracking the packages, where you go online and you can see where it is, and tracking packages and things, that was broken into, that was hacked into for 60 million people.
When did that happen?
November.
No.
You see, most people don't hear about the smaller ones. You know, 60 million.
60 million people. I'm one of those 60 million. I have an automatic account to track packages because I do a lot of shit, and they hacked into that. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So now they got user IDs, logins, email addresses, account numbers, etc. It goes on and what they've been able to access through that.
Who are these people, Kathleen?
I think a lot of them, who knows, but a lot of them are been traced back to overseas. And then they sell this information. You know, and your information is not just being sold to one person. They can sell for a small amount of money. You know, email addresses might go for a penny, an email address, but they sell that to 1 million people.
They got $1 million. Ooh, I did not know the post office. I did not know the post office. This is very discouraging.
Social Security. Well, you're talking about the IRS. There's been hacked in. People have to file, filing their papers in your name.
And getting the money. In your name.
In your name. And then again, that's a huge issue to try to get solved and figured out. So it's when there's all these other areas. They're committing criminal acts in your name. Somebody goes up and they set up a sex pornography site with your information. All of a sudden there's a sting and it's brought forward, and guess what? You're served a warrant for your arrest for child porn. Maybe it's for child pornography. How is that going to affect your livelihood?
Well, in financial services and insurance and banking, there's a zero tolerance. I mean, Kathleen, nobody in our industry, you better be pristine, I'll put it like that, because you're handling people's sensitive information, and they want to make sure, the SEC and everybody else wants to make sure that you are legit. So now you have this going on. What happens when it happens to you? What's the first thing you need to do? And how would you know?
Unfortunately, if you don't have some service that's monitoring some of the things, you're not going to know till you actually are served that warrant. Okay, then you're going to have to get, first thing you're going to do is get a legal consultant to help right away. Then they're going to have to get private investigators to figure out who did what, where, why, and when. So it's kind of like having Perry Mason, that you need, and you have to have, how many attorneys have those private investigators that can help them, assist them, do all this, to find it out. So it gets very complicated and expensive when you have that type of situation going on.
Oh my God, that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. So how do you know you've been hacked?
You really, most of the time, don't. If all of a sudden you start getting a lot of emails that look suspicious, or they're trying to spam you, or phishing for information, that's always a good clue. getting a lot maybe of even in the mail letters.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the phone calls, the phishing and all that you get with the phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
But with the email, they're getting so good. A lot of people are falling for it. Even people that are, well, educated supposedly in the field are falling for some of the things that are being sent. You know, just because it has the right logo, it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, it's probably been 8 months ago, I got something supposedly from PayPal.
Okay.
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 And I looked at
it. My God. Keep
And-
going.
And
Keep
it said,
going.
you know, it had a charge. If you disagree with this, click here. It's like, that's not, this isn't, that was the first clue. It's like, no, that wouldn't happen. And it was also addressed to my email address.
Okay.
So the first thing you do, never click on that. I went to my account. There was
Okay.
no, there was
So
no
you go
charge.
directly to your account.
Right. There was no charge or anything there. So I contacted PayPal and told them. The first question they asked me was, who was it? How was it addressed? And I said to my email. She goes, we will never, ever send it to your email address. It will always go to your first and last name. She goes, this is not legitimate. Please send it to us and we'll catch these guys.
Oh, wow.
So that's one thing, you know, kind of see how it's addressed. If it's just to an email address, that's probably not right. Usually there's some, this one was really good because even disclaimers and everything were very similar to what PayPal would have on their information they sent to you. But if you didn't do something and it looks, I didn't do that, never ever click on that.
Don't click it.
Right, because they're going to get your information or download
Don't
spyware.
click it, folks. Don't click it. Don't click it. Okay.
Always go to your account.
But that's what happened with, I remember a couple of years ago, I had a flurry of PayPal stuff because I have several PayPal accounts. So, but it was something not quite right. And I went directly to the account and they didn't sync. And that's when I called PayPal and said, you know, what's going on? And they said, well, you've been hacked.
Right.
I'm like, what is happening?
Right. So, you know, when you're sending emails, sometimes, once in a while, they've actually been legit when I've called them. But that's great because I know it's legitimate.
Yes, yes.
Always err on the side of caution.
Right.
Just like, this has been several years ago, I had used my card, my bank card at a filling station. Went inside and got added money to my card. And I was leaving, I was busy, and a phone call came. And I didn't get access to it right then, but I called them back or listened to the voicemail, and it said it was the Fifth Third Fraud Department. And they were looking, they said there was a charge that just went to my account from Canada.
Yes.
Like 10 minutes after I'd used it. Well, I couldn't have got to Canada in 10 minutes.
No,
you know.
no way, no way.
matter how fast I am.
No way.
So they'd already had frozen my account and taken the steps because, you know, banks and credit card companies are looking after them, you and your accounts, because it's costing them billions of dollars if they aren't. So they're really watching your accounts. If something's unusual, they're going to be contacting you or freezing your accounts until you can go and get it straightened out. So that's what's really important. But, you know, before I called them back, I called Fifth Third. I said, is this a legitimate phone call? And they said, well, just a minute, let me check your account. And they looked at my account and says, yes, it's legitimate. Call them back. I said, okay. So that's when I actually called the fraud department.
I just went through this myself, actually, and I told the lady she had called. I travel 90% of the time. So I've got charges, hotels, cars, Uber, and there was I placed an order on Amazon, that's what happened, to purchase something, and the bank fraud department called me. But it was late at night and it sounded Asian. And I just immediately said, she wanted my account number. I said, oh no, oh no, who are you? Give me your phone number.
Right.
Well, I work for the bank, we work for the bank. And I said, that's not good enough. Now, you know, there would have been a time where that would have been okay.
Right.
Because you are into my account, you're into my, she wanted to know my account number. I said, oh no, well, we need it for account verification. Oh no, I kept saying, I said, I am going to follow up tomorrow, which I did do. And believe it or not, they were the bank's fraud department.
Oh, wow.
And I told them, if you don't mind, if you're going to do this, don't have people that are in call centers that sound like they in Asia. I just with, all kinds of funny stuff in the background. And the woman said, oh, we've never even had anybody complain. I said, people just give information like that? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, we're going to be reading about you all on the...
Right, but you're right. You were very cautious. So there's so many people that are agreeing, giving that information out.
I couldn't believe it. She said, well, we need to verify. I said, I need to verify. Who are you? Mm-hmm. Who gave you my number? Mm-hmm. Which is ridiculous because you get phone numbers anywhere. I mean, just type in Google, and here we go again with phone numbers. But I refused to give her anything. And you know what she said? She said, Miss Graves, I understand your caution, but when you call tomorrow, you're gonna know they're gonna, and they did. They said, oh, that was them. I said, well, their communication skills aren't good. You don't call me asking me to give you my account number,
right?
And the last four of my social. Oh no, we're not we're not doing that.
Right.
Word to you all watching. If you're a senior citizen, and I have to tell this to my mother all the time, and my dad, because you all came out of a different time. But we have thugs, monsters, dinosaurs. We got all manner of rodent population running around out here, and the portal to your life may very well be your phone. Do not, just hang up. Don't even think about it. Just hang up. Call it a day. Hang up. Next.
Or what's so easy now on cell phones, I probably have more blocked numbers on my cell phone than I have contacts.
I believe it.
So as soon as I call and it's a
robocall. Yeah, you just press block.
Right, block, and then it's blocked, and you don't have to worry about that call anymore.
But this is what I found. They go to other numbers.
Eventually, you'll get all their numbers. If you're consistent, block. I
pressed the button. I can't talk to you right now. But I said, how did this happen? Just trial and error, or these numbers have been sold out to other consolidators? I mean, how did this robocall even start, Kathleen?
A lot of them some of them are able to get a hold of, we're going to start this legitimate business and we need this many lines, and they get that many lines that they're paying for.
Whoa.
Other times they're just using numbers that they pick up. How many times have you gotten any calls that looks like it from a business or from somebody in the town that you live in, you answer it and it's not them.
Oh, because
and I've actually had somebody get my number that I called them, and it was a robocall or somebody that was trying to sell something that went to that other person. So all this phishing stuff that's going on and using other people's information has just gone out of sight with what's happening in today's world.
So we are probably subsidizing other countries' economies.
Probably quite a bit.
You don't have to have boots on the ground with the military when they're stripping you economically. I mean, for real, I just was watching television, and a woman wound up losing over $700,000. And it never occurred to her that she was talking to just a criminal. She said, but they sounded so nice. And I was like, I just bet they did.
Right.
I mean, but why would you do that? That's what I can't understand. So if you think you've been compromised, who do you call?
Once you've already been compromised, most of all the identity theft services, then it's pre-existing.
Okay.
And they're not going to assist you.
On that?
On that particular one.
Okay.
So your next best step, call, depending on what it was it a criminal, was it a credit card, was it a bank, was it an account that was opened up, maybe a payday loan or whatever.
Okay.
Go back to whoever that institution was.
Okay.
And try to get some facts. And whatever you do, start documenting what the phone call the time of the phone call, who you made it to, who you talked to, because everything has to be credentialed and verified.
Okay.
So make sure from that point in time, then it gets more complicated. A lot of times also you can ask that company, whatever, what is your procedure? What do I need to do to get this off? You know, then you might end up having to go to your attorney and to find out, might be legal ramifications to
But if
get
you're,
you free.
but how many attorneys today, Kathleen, know how to do this?
That's
That's
a
a
big problem.
specialty. You call your attorney and he's like, oh my God, I may be compromised too. I mean, if this is a narrow field of law, how do you know who you're talking to has the experience?
That's a real problem, and unfortunately, some of them will say they can, but they can't. I know a lady that went to various cities in the Southwest here in Ohio, and she had an identity theft issue that she couldn't get resolved, and they said, I don't do it, I don't do it, don't do it. Finally found one in the Cincinnati market, says, yeah, we can take care of that. After she spent $25,000, they said, we can't help you anymore, and they weren't able to solve it.
They took her money and then told her, have a nice day.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he said, because identity theft is so specialized, it's not what our attorneys go to law school and study at this point in time. Maybe, you know, it might be changing down the road, or maybe some of them are starting to educate themselves. But also, it's just not them, because identity theft is a multi-state most of the time. You know, you might live here in Ohio, but your identity theft is in Texas and California and Georgia and Florida. Well, you don't have your license in those states.
No.
So he can't help you there.
Wow.
So then you have to go out of state to try to find somebody, which gets again very costly. When you file police reports, most of the time you have to go to the state where your identity was stolen. So you have to fly. That's where there's reimbursements. If you don't have a program that's doing restoration, you have to fly to those states, you know,
And
file the police report and try to get started there. But then you're going to have your travel time, your meals, and your hotel stay, and all those expenses that you have to come up with trying to recover something that was not your fault.
It was not your fault.
Right.
And that's what I find so deeply offensive. Not that it matters, because offensive will not resolve your situation and you got a problem. So you find out you're compromised. And basically you've exhausted resources. You go and look for who can I talk to help me here. And it's usually a family member, parents or perhaps, but rarely is it going to be a person that
can really help you.
Yeah, that can really help you, Kathleen.
Right. It's just can be very devastating and
so
personal.
how many people are affected by identity theft today?
Hundreds of thousands.
Oh God. And
And
we're in
some
the
of them are
Christmas,
very, some of them are very mild types. But yeah, remember when they're using your credit card or your bank account, that's not identity theft.
What is
That's
it?
credit card or bank fraud. Remember, identity theft is,
okay.
you know, you've heard of PII, personal identifying information. There's all kinds of acronyms out there. So that if I open up a new credit card in your name or open a new bank account in your name, then it's identity theft.
Okay.
So then you got
But if it's an existing bank account that has been compromised, then that is considered fraud.
Right.
And that's an entirely different procedure.
Right, and that's covered, you know, and that's covered under your banking laws that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
But, the identity theft doesn't fall into that category. So, but if I opened up, that's the reason it's good still to you have to look at your credit report or have your repositories monitored, is because I'll know as soon as you apply for credit or open an account, I'm gonna know immediately if that's being monitored.
Right.
And they can stop it and shut it down before it ever gets started. So that's the monitoring part on that side. But your current information, there's no way they can stop somebody from using it because they don't know if it's you or the other person.
Right.
So it can't be stopped, other than things that I do to help protect it on my credit cards or bank cards, bank accounts. As soon as I charge something or use it, I get an immediate notification to my cell phone.
You do.
So if I'm going to Kroger, and before I even get the receipt back in my hand, I've
You
got
get a notice.
my phone ding, Kroger, this amount of money. Yep, that was me. So if somebody tries to use my credit cards
Right.
or bank cards, I know immediately, within seconds,
Within seconds.
and I can stop it.
Wow.
So, being aggressive and putting alerts on your accounts that you currently have, I think are really important, especially on accounts that maybe credit cards that you don't hardly ever use. It's been zero forever. I
right,
only use it
right.
once a long. Put an alert on it, because those are the ones the thieves will find and like to use because you're not checking it.
Right.
And what's the law say? If you don't report it within 60 days of the first billing cycle, you're 100% responsible.
Right.
Well, if I do it and I make a minimum payments because I want to keep using it, and then I rent it up to the maximum, then I quit paying for it. Guess what? When the debt collector actually finds you, it's way past the 60 days, and you're 100% responsible for all those charges.
Oh my gosh. So then it pays to look at all of your credit activity daily, I would think.
Daily, you're right.
Daily.
Or have an alert so that you're notified
Okay,
when something happens.
okay.
That way you don't really have to alert, because you'll know as soon as the charge is put on there. Especially even when you're getting your investment accounts, every quarter people
Right,
usually get
right,
those.
right.
And most of the time they just, that was the Franklin account or whatever, and they stick it in a folder.
Right.
But that, a lot of times they'll go and they'll pull just a tiny bit, maybe $1, maybe $5
Off of each one.
off of that to see if you're watching. And then if you're not,
Oh,
guess
wow.
what? The next time you look at it, you may not have anything left in there.
Wow.
So you just, even those investment accounts, make sure you actually look at it to make sure nothing's coming
It's
out.
funny coming out.
That you haven't authorized.
So if it is like Charlie Schwab or Fidelity and you notice irregularities, does that go to the actual manager, or do you take it to your bank? Or
I would call, if I found that, I would call directly to my manager that's handling my account.
This is mind-boggling.
Yeah, it gets a lot more complicated than people.
Well, I'm thinking of the
think.
stress factor.
Oh,
I'm thinking of the
yes.
fact that when other people know your business and you've not authorized them, then there has to be a reason.
Right. And a lot of times if it's unfortunately, if it's a local identity theft, it's usually a family member of some type. Then you got to make a decision, are you willing to prosecute? Because if you're not, authorities usually won't help you.
Well, I had that happen with my great uncle, where his niece, she had became his POA. Mind you, I was not brought into that process until later, because he had me removed as his POA because I was much too intrusive on his money spending activities. And he put her on, and believe it or not, it's not considered theft if you're the POA. So she actually refinanced his house.
Wow.
And took the money for herself. And again, was there an illegality? Well, yeah, but it was by consent, meaning he did it.
Right.
Not knowing that she would do that, but he did that. So what should a person do if they want to get in contact with you for help?
Well, they can call me at 937-478-4396.
Say that again.
Number is 937-478-4396.
And for viewers, if you would like further information on this topic, you can always give me a call, or you can email me at mygraves@gmail.com. I'd be happy to route you to her if you don't have her number, or try to assist. But this is not a situation. The reason I have her on, I asked her when I realized that I was in the presence of an individual who knew what they were talking about. And when I think we talked about some of the bank programs, LifeLock and all that stuff, and that deals strictly from the banking perspective, correct?
Oh, the premium side, the best one that LifeLock has a lot of other portions
Benefits,
to
okay.
it. But again, you have to look at their contract, what they say, and with any company, make sure you see the contract, because they might say certain things that leads you to believe it covers all this, but it really doesn't. When you read the contract, there's a lot of limitations on it.
Okay.
So just don't go by a cursory overview of what something says. Ask questions. Something also to do with the company, Google, or Google back to Google
I know,
again.
back to Google. Google knows everything.
Yeah. FTC and whatever company it is, lawsuits.
Okay.
The FTC oversees those, and you might find, they were sued and they had to pay a $60 million. Maybe a couple times because of false advertising or not going up to their obligations. No, so check those out with any company.
So you can go ftc.gov and you have.
I wouldn't go to that. That just has some information on where you can check out what to do and what not to do. But if you Google lawsuits with the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC and the company lawsuits. It'll bring, if there's lawsuits going on or in the past, they'll bring it up and what they were for. So you can check out, ooh, that doesn't sound good. That didn't go with what they're saying. I'm not going to go against any different companies, but check it out for yourself. And find out how legitimate that company is, what problems have they had. Because a lot of them say, well, I've had this company XYZ and I don't have any problems. I love the company. I said, have you ever had an identity theft problem? No. So, if they haven't had any problem, I could be doing it and taking your money and it'd be fine. So it's really important to find out, or if it's just been a credit card or a bank, because basically you're protected by the federal law. So they really, again, they didn't have to do anything other than say, it's all right, we're going to take care of it. And the laws take care of it and gets everything back to order.
And do the laws take care of it?
Well, as long as you're living up to your part, that you're reporting it within the 60 days and you're going back to that credit card company or the bank. As long as you're doing your part, then yes, the laws are protecting you for the liability that you're exposed to. We just have to be, as individuals, more alert to what's going on around us, not believing everything that's just said. Check it out, check the details out. And that's, not only with identity theft, but with anything, same thing in the medical world. If you're having an operation, you need to check out the details. Who's the specialist in your area? How many operations have they performed for that? What have been the outcomes? When a lot of people start checking into details, they find out they make better decisions if they make a change what the decision they originally thought. Just
because I know that we're becoming more sensitized to it, but again, I think that many people take the position that, it'll never happen to me. And I firmly believe it will happen at least twice. I do.
Yeah, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when.
It's when.
And it will happen at some point in time. And it's not going to be the simple credit card bank situation that I don't have any money, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We have no control over our information. We're out there in hundreds of databases, whether it's your school you went to, your doctor's office, the hospital, your driver's, the BMV, the government. We're out there literally thousands of databases, and they sell those to other companies. Just think the credit repositories who give you your credit score, and take care of that. How do they make their money? Well, they have to sell by selling your information to other companies. So they're probably the biggest seller of private information about. So they're selling it to all these other companies, and then those companies, if you read the fine print when you get the security, you can block this, but all their affiliates, you can't block that, so that's going to their affiliates. Then you don't get a privacy notice from their affiliates, so those affiliates then go to everybody else. So
and there you go.
There you go. The whole world's got your information.
Oh my gosh, here the whole daggone world has your information. How is there a future here? I have to ask the question, Kathleen, because it's like the game of chess.
Right.
And you're the pawn. You're the pawn. And are industries becoming more sophisticated in protecting the rights of individuals? We're into Christmas now.
Mm-hmm.
I did, for the first time in my life, because I was on the road, I did all my shopping online.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I'm not by myself.
Right.
But I kept wondering, is this safe? And I mean, they have all the safe and all, but I just have to believe that somebody's having a holiday right now.
Right.
It may not be at my expense, but someone is. Oh my goodness, Kathy.
Right. Whenever you're ordering online, up in the address bar it has HTTP.
Yes.
Make sure you have that S after it for secure. If it does not have that S, do not put any private information on that
So it
account.
needs to be HTTPS. Okay,
When
that's
you go to
good.
right, when you go to the www, whatever you're going to, when it brings that account up, it should have, like your bank accounts will always have that S after
okay,
the
which means-
HTTPS, secure.
Quickly,
And it,
I got to have your phone number.
okay,
We're
number
done.
937-478-4396.
Wow, 2 minutes left. I'm Michelle Graves. This was great. You have a very happy holiday, and I hope nothing bad happens to you either. I'll see you the next time. Call Kathleen. She's smart, really. See you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.